that was the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, calling a snap election for July the 4th. I have to say, not everything perhaps went to plan. He was absolutely drenched by the weather. He did it to the backing soundtrack of Things Can Only Get Better, which of course Tony Blair, I think, came to power with in 1997. But we got the outlines, didn't we, Beth, of the election campaign that the PM wants to run. His plan is working, Labour has no plan.
Yeah, I mean, it was, as we expected, calling an election, saying it will be on July the 4th, that now is the moment for the British people to choose its future. He said that we could either, to quote the Prime Minister, build on the progress of his administration or go back to square one. Again, lines we have heard often, Sophie. He then moved into the issue of defence, saying that the world now is more dangerous than at the end of the Cold War, that there is risk to energy security, and in uncertain times, who has the plan to execute a better future? His argument was, I am the man that can do this. He did also acknowledge, though, some of the malaise under the Conservative successive administrations. He said, we haven't got everything right, but I am proud of what we can achieve together. And that, of course, an acknowledgement of what happened under the Truss administration, Boris Johnson, the way in which the Conservative majority of 2019 has been whittled back again and again in successive by-elections, the local elections, the worst performance of any Conservative party in decades. He went on to say, we have a plan, and again, I'm guided for doing what is right, not easy. That is another line I hear from him quite often. He then moved into the attacks, as we were talking about, on Keir Starmer. He said, you can't say that Labour has a plan. I don't know what they offer, and they have no plan. They would obviously contest that strongly. And he said, referencing the issue of Keir Starmer's pledges when he became Labour leader, something I asked him about actually at that election launch last week. I knew it was going to be a Conservative attack line, and the Prime Minister rolled it out in Downing Street, saying that Keir Starmer has shown he will take the easy way out. He abandoned all promises when he was when he was trying to be Labour leader to get the job. How do we know he won't do the same? He said, I will fight for every vote and earn your trust. So there you go. He's fired the starting gun. It will be a July the 4th general election. We haven't had one of those since the end of the Second World War in 1945.
And here we go. We've got an election, haven't we? The campaign has effectively started. Cancel your holidays, get your trainers on, because we're going to be running around the country following these guys. And I know, look, there's going to be lots of weeks of analysing the policy, but can I just... It is pretty apocalyptic here.
I know.
And
actually,
I have to say, Beth's literally just rescuing her handbag, which is basically filling up with water.
My laptop is literally... Ali,
and I have to say, that image of him at the lectern, raining down on him, and then stepping away, and his back turning to us and going through the door, and the back of his suit jacket is drenched. I mean, that is, I'll be honest, it's not the image they're going to want. Frivolous though it sounds, to start an election campaign.
I have to say, the optics of this, I remember when he did a speech on extremism, and it was a last-minute thing in Downing Street again, and it started raining, and you know, even when we were talking about calling a general election today, I did sort of say to some of our colleagues, the optics of a Prime Minister being rained on, as he calls this general election, is not ideal optics, which is why I thought he might actually do it in Downing Street. He decided not to. Maybe he could have had someone holding an umbrella. But anyway, he has called that general election.
And really, it's a gamble. We've said it before.
You ready for the election? Ready for the general election?
Are you
happy? Are you happy he's called an election?
We're all smiles there.
That's that's the cabinet coming out there. Who do we have? Claire Coutinho,
Victoria
Energy
Atkins,
Secretary, Health Secretary. They're going to be busy.
They're going to be ever so busy with that election campaign. They were very smiley, weren't they? But tight-lipped as well.
Tight-lipped.
And I have to say, we said it before, Beth, haven't we? But this is a huge gamble. He's 20 points behind in the polls. But I guess the calculation, when they're looking at the weighing scales of when to have the election, one of the biggest weapons in their arsenal, it feels like one of the critical things is they're just wondering whether things are going to get better, whether there is going to be a better time than now, if they don't have the giveaway in the autumn, for example.
And also, just to throw a curveball in a little bit, I mean, there is also questions about some MPs are saying to me, I just got this through while he was talking actually, that they think that a lot of votes of confidence letters have been going in, that there hasn't been a single flight yet to Rwanda. This is a former minister saying to me, I said, do you think that they're calling it because he was worried about a confidence vote? This person saying yes. None of this seems as though he's in control. Suspect letters peaked, hence the chaotic nature of today, doing this on a wet Wednesday afternoon. That's just one thought from a couple of sources have put that to me. So
it's like Beth was saying, it is slightly. We've got the weather, we've got the music. You can probably hear it. There is an awful lot of music that is being projected. Always a risk in Downing Street, of course. But launching your election campaign to the sound of things can only get better. One Lib Dem source, cracking the joke that it should be things could only get wetter. I mean, it's not the greatest optics.
It's not the greatest optics, and I mean there is a problem here in Downing Street because people can go to the end of the street and play really loud music on really loud speakers, and there's actually very little. It's not a public offence, so very little that they can do about it. He could have called it inside, but obviously the world's press is here. And, whether or not he was going to face a confidence vote or not is rather a moot point now, isn't it? In the sense that we do know that there have been a live discussion in government about whether to go in the summer or later. It might be that there has been disquiet amongst the parliamentary party, but I should also say, we've been doing a lot of reporting and chasing and on this, that the idea that there was going to be a challenge to his leadership, that just melted away after the local elections. And actually, the other thing about that melting away was that there was a view that he needs to own the defeat if that is what comes. And if he had had a confidence vote, he would have won the confidence vote. But I guess that means you are very wounded going into an either general election. Can you imagine? Can you imagine a live debate in which Keir Starmer said to the Prime Minister, "Well, if your own party don't back you, why should the country?" So the optics of that are just, quite frankly, dreadful.
It'd be very hard. So we've been talking about the speech, the optics, and also the decision and the gamble. Let's just take a step back, shall we, and talk a little bit about what grounds the election is likely to be fought
just
on.
Before, I've just got this reformer cabinet minister. What an awful speech and optics. About the rain and. But look, on the right, what were we talking about? It's
been a mad day.
We're going to talk about what the themes of the election.
What the themes of the campaign? Because I feel like we got a few hints, didn't we, in the speech that Rishi Sunak
So
said.
I think we stopped talking about this because he came out. So should we do the policy themes and the political themes?
Yeah, let's go for
Which
policy
one
first.
do you want to go? Policy first.
Let's do it. We'll get right into the meat.
Yeah, let's. I think on the. I was saying earlier, Sophie, it's going to be an economy election.
Yeah.
If you look at the kind of pledges that both sides have made, the Prime Minister's 5 pledges, Keir Starmer's now 6, he added one in, it was migration, illegal migration. He added the border force in. It wasn't one of his 5 missions of government that he set out over a year ago. Why is that? Because illegal migration, NHS, are going to be 2 big themes. Both Prime Ministers have tried to make pledges on those policy areas, but it is going to be the economy election after a cost of living crisis, COVID, war in Ukraine. Finally, are you looking forward to the election? Can you win it? Can you win it?
Well, that was
was
Richard Holden, the Conservative Party
Sorry, I
chair.
just saw him out of my... And
love
Isaac
it, though.
Levido, that was Isaac
Oh, I didn't
Levido
catch.
there, who is the Prime Minister's campaign chief.
And there was a lot of speculation, wasn't there, that Isaac Levido wanted to have the later election, the autumn election, but perhaps other voices around Rishi Sunak.
I had heard that Isaac Levido, who used to work with Linton Crosby, and watchers of politics will know all about that man because he was the guy that masterminded the Cameron win, wasn't it, back in 2010?
Yeah.
He worked with Theresa May, he worked with Cameron in 2015, he helped Boris out in 2019, Boris Johnson. And he really is, he's the guy that says you need to take the barnacles off the boat, and the other one is you can't fatten a pig on the way to market.
It's a straight talker, I think you could say.
The reason I pick those two out, Sophie, is because it goes back to what we were talking about policy, which is you have very clear messaging on a small number of policies that you rinse and repeat again and again and again. And I think those three will be the economy election, really. And Labour are feeling quite confident on that because Labour have never been as trusted on the economy in polling as the Conservatives. But the Liz Truss debacle, that mini budget, has actually given them a window now in which they feel that they can fight the Conservatives. And in a way, Sophie, the fact that they actually diluted their economy pledge in their, from the mission was the fastest growing economy in the G7, it got downgraded to delivering economic stability, is because they think that actually promising that it won't be a car crash economic mini budget is enough to satisfy voters.